Valentine's Day is coming up. You know what that means?
No, it's not.
What day is it?
Don't you own a calendar?
I don't know. I don't know what day it is anymore. The quarantine has me all messed up.
Yeah, we get it. Quarantine, blah, blah, blah.
Nothing like the love and support of your wife, huh? Except for Sheath Underwear. If you go to sheathunderwear.com and use my promo code RRBG, you can save 20%.
Can you hurry up? I need a laptop.
Go get yourself some Sheath Underwear and you'll know the love and support of being married in your 30s. Man, I gotta tell you, I'm already loving the Thanos shrine back there.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this. Let me see if I can show you this before we get started. Oh,
That's awesome.
yeah, dude. That,
In front of me, I have a picture drawn by, I did a comic book convention, unbelievably. And George Perez was there. And,
Nice.
And I got it. My wife, he was across from me, and I'm looking at him like, oh my gosh. And she's like, well, who's that? She doesn't know anything. And I'm just telling her, and she's like, well, hey, when you have a break and he has a break, go ask him to take a picture with you. Of course, I'm like, I don't want to bother him. And she's like, it's a convention. It's what people are here for. So I didn't bother him, but she went over and asked him how much for a freehand drawing of Thanos. And I have it hanging up, and I have it framed and hanging up.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Thanos shrine. There's Conan the Barbarian. There's, wait, this side. Behind me, if you see over my shoulder by the cannibal thing, there's a Thor's hammer.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
There's right behind me, there's Sauron's helmet. I collect a lot of, I'm a nerd. Proud of it.
Sweet. Yeah, same here. I mean, you can see I've got shrines and collections as well, man. So, but anyway, let me do a little intro. I mean, I'm keeping this in there anyway, but what's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast. I'm here with George Corpsegrinder. How you doing, brother? Hanging in there. I see you guys are putting out a new album. Very exciting times. Violence Unimagined.
Yeah, I did drink too.
Yeah. Violence Unimagined is coming out to Metal Blade Records. You guys have the new single out, Inhumane Harvest. It's your 15th studio album. How are you able to continue making new music after 15 records?
You just write songs, I guess, I'm not writing any of the music or whatnot. So, that's up to it's a question for those guys. But I just think we still like listening to metal. We're still fans. And, we still, when we can, enjoy, the tours and whatnot. I think everyone likes the process of it all. Of course, this album was different, but recording wise, but not a real lot. But I just think everyone's still just into metal and still into playing. So we just try to come up with stuff that we're interested. I guess basically, that's a good riff. If you hear a good riff and you like it, I think that's pretty much the writing process. Is just
keep coming up with riffs, man.
Yeah, man. It's not rocket science. I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying it's not hard to come up with some original ideas, but we have a formula, I guess, that we stick to. We don't want to do anything that's out of the box. Just acoustic parts and clean singing.
Why not? You don't want to go dubstep Cannibal Corpse?
Do you hear this voice? This voice is not clean singing. No, it's just not our deal,
Yeah, for sure. I think you would piss off a lot of fans.
Does,
Yeah, I think you would piss off some Cannibal fans if there was some acoustics.
Yeah,
clean singing.
We could just do another band if we wanted to do something like that,
Yeah, for sure.
Try to be experimental. This band is we pride ourselves on the band. It's not really. Yeah, we've changed. We're different from Eating Back to Life to now, but I don't think anyone could say we're not death metal. You might not like the style we play. It's not as old school sounding or whatnot. Maybe it's a little bit more technical than you prefer, but it's still death metal. And anyone who tries to disagree with that can kiss my ass.
That's right.
We're a death metal band, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We want to write brutal songs that we like, and we believe people are going to like it. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, man. I heard the new single, and it's fantastic, and great production. And it's funny. You think people like to hear death metal sound like shit? Like that was like a whole thing for a while. Like, oh, it's got to sound like shit. It's like, no, man. You can have good, clean sounding, well produced death metal, and
I just think it's whatever the band wants to go for. Some bands. When I think back to a lot of old records, and I hope I'm not insulting anybody, but I'm certain that I guess I just don't have to say any names, but I'm certain there's some bands who made some records that sounded a certain way that are classic sounding, and I would never want to hear them in any other way. But the people who made them are like, oh, I wish we could have done better. Like, think about how things sound now.
Yeah.
And you know, and you know, we want it to sound good, but I think if a band is going for a sound that's not so clean, then that's their deal.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to burn yourself if somewhere down the line you want to make a record that sounds clean. If you do 10 records of just dirty sounding, you know, death metal, old school, and then you come out with this super clean production, and people are going to find anything they can to you know, to naysay you these days. It seems like, you know,
Yeah.
they did this wrong. Oh, they did that. You know, oh, that part's too. That's not a heavier part. That's a more open chord part. Yeah, you're never going to win. But if you're trying to go for that, and then all of a sudden you you take a left. You know, you're driving down the road. You take a left. You're going to be wrong. You take a right. You're going to be wrong. People they get into your band and they want it to stay the same way all the time. I think we've kind of done that, but I think we've obviously improved. Our productions have varied throughout the years.
Yeah.
The vocals, my vocals, you know, maybe there's not as many high screams here and there in some of the records. There's more in other records. You know, there's variations, but in general, it's the same plot. But you're never gonna, like I said, if a band is going for a dirty sound, if a band's going for a clean sound, more than likely you're gonna do that for a few records. If you decide to change, then you're gonna have to deal with some backlash. But some bands don't care, and they're good for them. You know,
Yeah.
if you're an artist, you do what you want. We do what we want. It just so happens what we want is not to stray away from the formula that we have for making, you know, great death metal records.
For sure, man. For sure. And I think you already kind of answered it, but I was going to ask you, you know, how involved are you in the writing of the music? I'm guessing you at this point you're just doing vocals.
Yeah, I mean, I never really was, you know, I mean, when we used to practice, you know, we used to all get together before, you know, and practice, you know, or just everyone writing songs together. I mean, if I was there, it's more or less I would just be, yeah, it's killer riff. You know, I don't get in the way with that. I'm not a guitar player. If I was, and I wrote some riffs and I brought them to the table, they you know, if they were good, you know, I mean, I could say that I think they're the greatest fucking thing ever written. But I mean, if the other guys were like, hey, that sounds killer. If I could play guitar, or if I, you know, had a program on my computer or whatever, and I wrote some riffs, and I wanted to include them, I'm sure they'd be on there. But I at this point in time, as far as Cannibal goes, I have there's no real interest in doing that. You know, I mean, I don't even write any of the lyrics. I mean, you know, I've written some when I first got in the band, and then I thought maybe I would get more involved in it, and it just never worked out that way. And I'm happy singing the lyrics of everybody else because we're not pushing any agendas or anything. We're just singing about, you know, horror movie stuff. So it's not like I'm trying to interject my, you know, thought process of, you know, we need to kill them. You know, we need to go further. You know, we didn't make it more brutal. You know, you're not killing people in a more, you know, this song needs to be more Lucio Fulci, and it's too shining. You know, so let's make this one more dark, and then we'll go shining on this one. Let's make this one more gory. Let's make this one more dark. Even then, I don't have any. You know, I'm fine and comfortable enough just singing what those guys write. And of course, when we get in the studio, there's, you know, like usually like Alex or Paul, Rob, you know, and now with Eric, they'll send me a tape of them doing the scratch tracks of vocals.
Oh, okay.
Know, Rob used to sing when he was in Solstice, you know, when he had his band Solstice years ago. So his are pretty good. Rutan, of course, is an awesome singer in his own right, you know, vocalist, definite vocalist. Alex and Paul are not known for their vocals. So those are the ones that are usually a little bit more crazy. But even then, like, they're just scratch tracking it. So they're not trying to be perfect. You know, Rutan maybe has more time to do that, and Rob. But Alex and Paul, they're not trying to be in any, I would say, no one's trying to just give me the most perfect version of the song. So when I get it, and now especially for this album, there was no practicing for the record really. We just went and recorded it. We get in, and some parts don't work as well as when you're under the microscope. So we might tweak some things here and there, but you know, in general, I go in and I do the vocals. I try to make them as brutal. I try to enunciate very well. you know, I'm not totally concerned with people understanding what I'm saying, but it's just natural for me to pronounce things, you know,
Yeah.
when I'm singing in a death metal voice. There's some things that I could never, if I was going to do like recite lyrics to you, I couldn't recite them in this voice. I just can't do it. But I can do it in death metal voice. It makes no sense, but
Yeah.
you know. So I mean, yeah, look, I contribute my way. I mean, I'm fine with that. You know, I know I put my mark on this band.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, your voice is so distinct, man. You know, most death metal vocals that are that low growl, like similar to what you're doing, like you said, don't enunciate as well. But you've got like a specific style. Like whenever I hear, like I remember when Igor put out that song with you, the Parpaging, I think it's called. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Parpaging.
Even I can't say it right.
But I remember hearing, and it wasn't even that song. It was their like drum and bassy song that they put out. It was like Very Noise or something. And at the end of the video, there's like a little clip of that song with you on it. And I remember hearing, it was like a clip of an old dude like skiing or something in water skiing, and he's passing by and the song's playing, and immediately I'm like, oh, that's George. Like, what is that? Are they playing a Cannibal song? Like, what is it? And then later they released the song. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I will say one thing, you know, when I first got in this band, you know, I've been thinking about this before, but, you know, now that once I got in this band and we obviously was already an established band, the one thing I always wanted, I mean, I always did want was for people to say, he doesn't sound like everybody else. Now, anyone outside of metal, I think, is going to say that because they just lump it all in together. You know, if you're not familiar with the kind of music, once you get to know bands, you know, because to me, especially in the older days, you had Chuck Schuldiner, Glenn Benton, you know, Dave Vincent, John Tardy. You know, everyone was like, I mean, to me, they were all distinct. Nobody sounded like, you know, John Tardy's style is not like Chuck Schuldiner's in the least bit.
Yeah.
And Glenn Benton does not sound, you know, at all like, you know, like Dave Vincent. You know, the older guys, you know, had their own distinct sound, and I always strove for that. But I mean, I don't know that I'm not saying that I have that. I appreciate that you say that, but it's one thing that I always thought about was that people could say, because listen, if you hear Ozzy, it's fucking Ozzy, and there's no doubt about it. And there's people who can emulate him. But he is Ozzy, and you can sound like him as much as you want, but you can never be him, you know. And you know, Dio, Rob Halford, you know, all the great guys. King Diamond, I mean, King fucking Diamond is as distinct as any fucking body there is. And in my opinion, to me, he's my favorite singer in the history of heavy metal. If you ask me, you know, like just heavy metal, you know. But I always wanted that. I mean, I always wanted people to say this guy sounds like him and nobody else. I don't know if I did it. It's not up to me to decide. You know, when I hang my boots up or when I get off stage and never get on stage again or never do another recording again, it's not up to me to decide my place. But that is one of the things that I would really hope that people would say. You know, that I was distinct and I did my own thing. Yeah, I don't really think I have. I mean, I think I borrowed from everybody and put it together into goulash, but.
I think that's what everyone. I think that in a way, maybe subconsciously, that's what everyone does. Like, nothing's original. Everything's kind of been done in a way. So the best thing you can do is combine your influences into one new unique thing. And I think you've done it, man. You actually have, in my opinion, I think you have two distinct things for you, and I think a lot of people will agree. Your voice is being one of them, very unique in my perspective, but also your insane helicoptering, and you know, like
head spins.
Oh my goodness!
we just call them head spins. You know,
head spins. Like,
I mean, it's headbanging, head spins. You know,
how's your neck? That's my like. Does it hurt now as you're getting older? Like, do you get an arthritis at all, or?
It's probably feeling worse because I haven't done anything. Now, I gotta say, knock on wood. If I do this, I do hear little. But it's not painful. I haven't had any issues with my neck. I've had a couple of times where I pulled a muscle under my shoulder, and that, of course, goes up into my neck. Right. And I've done that on tour, like, you know, sleeping wrong or something, you know, in the bunk and whatnot. But I really, like I said, knock on wood, I haven't had any real issues with my neck at all. You know, I mean, I haven't. I haven't had a time where I couldn't headbang, like I said, unless it was something with lower back or, more back than anything, but I haven't had any chronic problems, unbelievably, down my back, in my neck. It was made to do this, Maybe I discovered I ain't telling anybody to do this or that this is the case. I'm not a doctor, but maybe I discovered the only way to actually headbang without issues. Because I know a lot of other people who've had neck issues, Alex Webster, our bass player, he had some issues and whatnot, with neck problems. I know Tom Araya famously had some,
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on, everyone thinks, you just whatever. You're just banging your head back and forth, just shaking your hair, big deal. No, trust me, it's a physical exercise. I mean, I don't mean exercise in that you're losing weight. The most muscular part of my fat ass is definitely the neck. Definitely the neck,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would imagine with when you're on the road, when you're doing tours and stuff, that you're working it out every day. You're just making it stronger. Yeah, I don't think it would get weaker, or I guess maybe some wear and tear. But I
would say this: if we do a tour now coming up, if we could ever do a tour coming up, it would be a little different. But the general rule for me, if we're like in the middle of a tour cycle, we usually have a month and a half maximum time off between tours. Usually we've had a few, anomalies here and there with 2 or 3, but months off between tours. But if we have, like, say 2 weeks off or a week off, right, it's fine. But if we haven't toured in like a month and we go back out, the first show, it's fine. I'm headbanging, it's fine. The next day, it's a little sore. Almost like if you took a month off of lifting weights.
Yeah.
And then you start doing some curls, the next day you're like, oh man. And then the next day, to me, it always was the day. Yeah, if the day after you work out, after having taken a break, it's painful. The day after that is the worst to me. So, and then your body just gets used to it. And that's that. And that's what happens on tour. For me, definitely. First day, I'm headbanging. The next day, my neck's a little like stiff, and whatnot. Not painful, but just, okay, I just got a workout yesterday. That night, when I first start banging, it'll be a little stiff. And as soon as I get into the 3rd or 4th song, it's like nothing. And then the next day, it's a little bit more. And then it just, sometimes even by the 3rd day, it's like, oh yeah, my neck is telling me, oh, hey, I'm back. We're back together again. Okay, how's it going?
Nice.
So, I mean, I've been lucky. I mean, I do the forward bang some, and I think those are the more brutal ones where you could be hurting you could be whipping your neck and hurting more. This is just basically me almost stretching my neck muscles, at least how I see it. I mean, I ain't a doctor.
It seems less dangerous too for your brain. Like, I feel like the front and back one, like your brain is kind of shifting back and forth, where like the spin is just kind of moving kinetically with your skull.
Maybe your head is actually just the force of centrifugal. I don't even know if it's centrifugal force, but inside of your head, it's not popping back and forth because you're not just jerking it this way or that way.
Right. Yeah.
You're actually going like this, and your brain might be just almost stationary. Like it's not able to. It's just spinning around. Maybe my brain's spinning with my head hitting side. Who knows?
Do you do anything to like prepare pre-show? Do you do like stretches and exercises for it or anything like that? No.
It's funny. I've done a few other interviews, not today, but I did some interviews earlier where they were asking me about warming up, singing, or necks. I used to do leg stretches for what the fuck? I don't know why. It was almost like I was just doing it because I would see other people doing it. I'm like, oh, maybe I should be doing that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that's the real reason why. But I used to stretch and maybe stretch my arms. It's like, dude, I'm like this, and that's it. I'm like this. My hands go down. They're on the side or on my legs. I'm head spinning. I'm back up. My one foot is on the monitor. It's like I don't move around. I'm not running around doing crazy kicks or anything like that. And I don't think I'm ever going to. I'd probably fall over. I used to do some jumps on stage. I used to have a hardcore element too when I was on stage. I remember we played in London and there was a review of our show. This is when I first got in the band. And they said that I had jumps in the vein of the band Shelter, which is, like this hardcore, like the hardcore jumps in the air. And I used to do them because I was a fat asshole. Now I am, and I'm just too old anyway. I'd probably break something, I'd probably break my hip just landing, But I do remember I did some jumps, and in London, I think it was London, the second time out, I remembered that they had that review. So I was doing some jumps and I fell on my ass. I don't know if I ever did any jumps again. I just remember I fell and I just didn't have my balance because it wasn't like, I wasn't like practicing them. Okay, let me practice jumps so I know what I'm doing, Like you see guys, when they're doing training for football and they're running through the tires, that's repetition, It's just like singing the songs over and over again. That's how you get the lyrics embedded in your head. I wasn't sitting around doing 50 jumps, 50 Youth of Today, 50, Roger Murray, agnostic front jumps or anything. And then, okay, I got them down. No, I just was like, I think it was Skullful Maggots apart. I just, or maybe Stare the Eyes of there, something where I just thought, when this part kicks in, I'm gonna jump and try to land right when we kick into the beat. And I did. I landed on my ass. And, so, but going back to the original question, like I said, I used to maybe stretch my legs, and I don't, when we get on stage, I'll do like a couple of growls. I'll be like, we walk on and then we're facing the amps or whatnot. I'm facing Paul. I'll take a drink of water. I'll do some growling. All right, sounds good. I'm ready to go. I don't do anything beforehand. I just stand around looking stupid until I have to get on stage. And then, and that's it, and no stretches now. Who knows? I'm 50 now. Maybe I'll be forced into doing that. But, I never did this because, like I said, I never had any pain. So if I had pain in my neck, I would have started asking some people and looking around at something. But I don't know who I can go to say, hey, man, when you're headbanging like me, what do how's that feel? Because sorry if anyone's watching that's a aspiring headbanger or a current headbanger. I'm the king. Go away.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
I can only look in the mirror and go, George, why does your neck hurt? No.
Yeah,
But I mean, I just have never done it. So I just go out cold turkey and do it.
Yeah. That's why I said, man, your voice and your headbanging are super distinct. Nobody else does it like you. And it's always been, when I take people to see a Cannibal show, that's always like, I just sit back and kind of watch to see their reaction too. Like, just let me see once you start with the head spinning, I want to see, because I get blown away by like insane human feats of physicality. Like, I'm a big pro wrestling fan, so when I go see Cannibal show, obviously I'm enjoying the music, but whenever you get into one of those zones, I'm like mouth open, like, how long is he gonna go?
I've always tried with the headbanging to go. Obviously, I'm not headbanging when I'm singing. There is a part in one of our songs where I would sing and headbang at the same time, and it's kind of hard to keep them like, I almost want to put it, because I don't have it cocked over. I just have it like the ball right here, and I don't want to smack my teeth out.
Right.
So, but other than that, I'm obviously just headbanging when there's no music, and I've tried to tailor the headbanging to the beat. Sometimes we have some weirder parts where it's kind of harder, but like, say like I Come Blood, that's the one. That's the one where the whole like first 30 seconds or so is just, it's all blasting. So I just go for it. That's an easy song. That's a straightaway for me, It's when we do these other beats where the curves happen and I have to slow down and I try to just always, headbang with the accents, or if it's just a straight blast, it's just the fast headbang.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, like I appreciate the kind words about the voice and the headbanging. I think if I'm remembered or known for anything, it's the neck, it's the headbanging,
the neck,
more than anything else. But again, it's not my decision. But I mean, it's just always, I don't know, when I used to go to shows, this headbanging, it just evolved from just going to shows and banging my head. Seriously, like I used to go to this place called the Network. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and it was in Pasadena. And it was a place called the Network. And I just remember going to that place. We went and saw a lot of shows there. And just every show, I would have an area cleared out because no one would stand near me because my hair would just be whipping around. And I would just stop and I would sing the lyrics whenever the singer was singing. And then when they were not, I would be headbanging to the beat. And I just took that and just put it into my first band, which ironically was called Corpsegrinder. And I put it to that. We used to do some hardcore covers of it, but I would put my hair back for that. Because to me, it was just different. It was like I needed to be around doing the arm shit and jumping in the air. We used to cover the Cro-Mags, Malfunction. We did G.I. Joe Head Stomp from Sick of It All. So we did a bunch. We would mix hardcore into like my first band, Corpsegrinder, and when we did those songs, I put my hair back because it was hardcore. So to me, it was like headbanging to hardcore music just didn't make any sense. You slam, you get in the pit. When it was metal, to me, it was always headbanging. So, like I said, I just took that headbanging apart, and I just thought that's what everybody did. I saw Tom Araya, and I was like, Ultimate Revenge, like as far as like headbanging was like, whoa,
yeah,
because he did the side to side, the figure eight, the infinity.
Yeah.
And I told him that when we did the Slayer tour, I was like, I was kind of drunk, and he was looking at me like, dude. He was very nice, but I just could tell I was drunking him out. I was punishing him, and I was just like, because I never really I never used to talk about it because I've always had the arrogant shtick on stage. Nobody can beat me and whatnot. But he was one of the main people that influenced me as far as headbanging goes, 100%. And obviously vocally, he's awesome. So he's a total package. But yeah, I mean, I took what I saw everybody else doing and tried to maybe not make it my own, but it's what I naturally did. When I was on stage, it was never like I was like, what's my stage presence going to be like? When I was in my first, I never thought about it. It was just natural. I headbang, and if we do hardcore covers, I'm jumping around like in a hardcore band.
Yeah, it's not something you're supposed to think about. If you're thinking about it, then it comes off fake, I think. If you're overthinking your stage presence, like when I was in a band singing for 10 years, and I didn't even know. Someone actually had to come and tell me, like, you do a weird head thing, right? I'm like, what? And apparently I do like a weird twitch where like I just do like a snap. And I never noticed, and I thought in my head, I'm like, well, maybe it's just because I'm trying to crack my neck because it hurts, But apparently, that was my thing for a while, and I don't think about that. So I think it's good that you were not like intentionally like this has to be my presence, Like, no.
Well, it's weird. When I was in Monstrosity, Lee Harrison used to always point out that I did he called it the hardcore hand. When I would come back to sing, my hand would be up like this, and it would be like kind of bent. And my thumb would be out or something. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I would watch it like, oh, because I used to sing, if I remember correctly, I've seen some old videos, Monstrosity days, when I used to have jeans on, like, it might have been because I know I wore some sweatpants on stage before. I was a poor motherfucker. I just wear whatever I had. But I used to put my finger in my pants. You know what I mean? When I would go back to do screams or something, singing like this, I would have, I don't know. I think, when you first start doing anything, if you're overthinking it, man, you're stinking it. It's just kind of like, I think every band, could say that. But when you first start, you're probably overthinking like how you're supposed to be on stage and what's cool and what's not. And a lot of shit goes in your mind, and I mean, I guarantee like the first show I ever did, my voice my voice was kaput. It was done. I was sucking on lemons. I was doing everything everyone was telling me to fix their voice, but all the people were telling me that did not sing.
Right.
So
don't eat chocolate.
Well, excuse me. My first show with Corpsegrinder, we played in Maryland and Baltimore. We played with Deceased and this band Ex Mortis. Not the current Ex Mortis, this is the Maryland Ex Mortis with the TIS,
Okay.
And I remember I was just so nervous, and I think I just lost my voice. But somehow I pulled it together right when we played, and I sang, and it was slightly different. And I think I was singing a little bit higher in places, whereas I was normally singing low, and I had the higher long screams. And I started thinking about putting that in there, like the higher stuff. So, I mean, there's no rule book, okay, when you go on stage, there's none. Everybody has their own individual way. And I don't care who it is, more than likely, I'm sure there are cases where it's not, but more than likely you're going to be nervous when you play your first show, no matter, I mean, unless you're like 50 years old and you got in your first band, took you that long to get in your band, and you're probably like, I'm too fucking old to care. But, my first show, I was 19, maybe 18, something like that,
Damn.
And And of course, there was a shit. And there was like 20 people there. There was no reason to be. There was like 20 people there. And most of them were friends and family that we knew, So, I mean, and again, you just don't think about what you're going to do until you're doing it, I mean, so to me, I got off easy because naturally I just headbang. It's fucking, death metal. You headbang.
Yeah. And so, you started so young and now you're like you said, you're 50. Like, has there been a decline in like passion for doing it? Like, do you feel that maybe like, maybe I'm reaching the end, or like, do you want to rock out till you can't do it anymore? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you right now, if I'm being honest, I've had some times where I'm just like, I'm done. I mean, I seriously have had some times where I've been on stage where I'm just like, man, I just want to go home, end of a long tour, kind of those things, just a momentary thought. And then there's times I'm on stage and say I had maybe not a bad show, but I was just feeling like, because look, I don't think anybody can tell that I'm like not having a good time. I'm good at just, this is the show and whatnot. But sometimes in my mind, I'm just like, man, fuck, I just want to go home. I don't want to headbang anymore. When's this song over? Just whining like a bitch in my own head.
Yeah.
And then the next day I'll get on stage in the crowd or something hits me like, this is what I'm supposed to be fucking doing. Yeah. It's only natural. I guarantee you everyone in the band, no matter how much they say they like this, I just don't like the bullshit people. I want to be honest about things. And I've had those moments, recently though, and that's the crazy thing, not being able to tour. Mm-hmm. See, before we could tour and we had tours set up and, we're touring all the time. And then it's just easy to just be like, oh man, I don't want to do this tour. I just want to stay home.
Right.
Because it's not taken from you. When it's taken from you, then you start missing it not because, if you won the lottery, and if I won the lottery and let's say I left the band, let's just say, or I came into a bunch of money somehow, somewhere, I didn't have to do this anymore as far as it being work, and being a job where I'm supporting my family. If it came to that, I've always thought like, well, yeah, I would, of course, think about it because I wouldn't have to leave home and whatnot. But now, with it not being a choice, you can't tour. There is no touring. You can't go anywhere. It's made one positive thing from this for me, from my viewpoint, is it's made me appreciate this way more because I don't have it now. And it also makes me think like, well, what if, I was on stage and something snapped in my neck or something pulled and I could never recover. Would I want to do this anymore without being able to headbang? To me, I'd be done. And that's my whole thing. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you ask me my opinion, if there was ever a poll out there about what you remember me most for, or what you first think about when you think of George Corpsegrinder, I guarantee it's the neck. I mean, I would love it if it was like, oh, his voice is the greatest ever, or whatever. That'd be great. Build me up. But I don't hate that that's what they remember me for. That means I put my mark on this music. My one little speck of sand in this giant beach. That's mine. That's not that I'm the only headbanger, but people know me mostly for that. So
yeah.
But it's just thinking about it, like if you can't do it anymore, that's what's really got me bummed. I mean, I want to tour now. And there are times where I've been in the airport and saying goodbye to wife, and I'm just riding away, and I'm like, it's not good. I just feel really bad. Of course, once I get on the plane, once you get set on the plane, you're all good. The drinks are free. All right, hey, can I get this or get that? You relax. Okay, going to work. Then you get on the bus, you get your stuff put away. All right, we're at work. You get into the groove of things. Okay, we're at work. But there's times definitely where I've just been like, well, I didn't know if I want to do it anymore, But that's a lot. That's, for me, that's, I think it's worse now as far as like how I feel, because I can't do it. Before it's like, oh, if I wanted to leave, I could leave. If I wanted to say, guys, I'm done. It's been a great time in a career, and I just want to move on to something else in life. That's I would never want to not leave. I don't want to leave, on somebody else's terms or something else's terms. I want to leave on mine.
Right.
I feel it's time. I do. And right now, hell hell no. I can't wait to get back on tour. I'll miss the family. It's never going to change.
Yeah.
But I miss playing for people. I miss just talking to the kids at the show. I do. I mean, I've said this in a few of the other interviews where there have been some times I'm just tired. I don't want to get off stage or get off the bus. And, Alex and Paul or even Eric are really good at just going out and talking to the kids all the time. And there's times like, are you going to come out? And I'm just like, just don't want to. I'm just beat. I just want to sit here and drink my whiskey and beer and listen to Waylon Jennings. I just want to do that. And I'm sorry. And I feel really bad about that. And I feel like maybe it's not my responsibility to have to go out every night, but at least that's how I was feeling. Now I do. I'm serious. And I'm going to do everything I can to engage with the fans, depending on how we are able to come back and how things are. If we can come back in the same capacity where you're hanging out with kids, putting your arm around them, taking a picture instead of just being 6 foot away, with a mask on or some bullshit like that,
Yeah, like a broom between you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we have this big piece of glass for every picture that George takes with everyone. And so, so I'm like trying to put my arm around, I'm smacking into the glass, So hopefully when we get back, I've definitely I've made a mental note to myself that I should be doing more for the kids, and I hate to call them kids, but I'm old, but, for the fans, kids, whatever. And really just when we are able to play again, give it twice as much as I did before because, man, I miss it.
Yeah, and you never know.
I know everybody else misses it.
Yeah, you never know, like, what just happened. Like, you'll never know when that goes away for a while. It sucks.
I mean,
yeah, I'm feeling the same way. Obviously, my band broke up a couple of years ago, and it's a different thing. Like, I'm feeling that way as a fan. Like, it got to the point, thanks to the podcast and the show and everything, where I was getting invited to every show that was in town. And I do love going to live shows. I love hanging out with the homies and everything, but it got to a point right before the pandemic where I'm like, then this is a 4th show this week. I'm gonna stay home. Like I really want to see this band, but fuck that. Like, I'm tired. I want to, and now I'm like, shit, I should have gone to that show. And I'm not going to miss any more shows.
Well, I was supposed to go see my, friend Adam D and Killswitch Engage before this all broke, and that got canceled. The last show that I saw was my man, Rob Flynn, Machine Head. We went to that show and we tore it up after the show, but I did his podcast then, that day, and there was a bunch of other shows lined up, and they were all gone. And for me, going to a show, and I'm not saying I hate this, but I'm telling you right now, it's a job. It is work because I don't want to watch the bands even when we're on tour. I'll do it, especially if, like, let's say we're on tour with Dying Fetus. Okay, I can watch them every night. So I can go out in the crowd and watch them, or I can watch from the side stage. Side stage is just nowhere to be, man. Not for me. You get the band's mix, and if bands have in-ears, then you don't hear shit.
Yeah.
So you're not really watching the show. If you're just going to go check it out and, Gallagher comes over and like, yo, man, hey, what's up? Giving him some shit while he's on stage. That's about it. But otherwise, I want to, when I went and saw, I go see Machine Head, Flynn's like, dude, get on the side stage. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm going to watch from the front because I want to watch the show. But it's hard because I get accosted constantly.
Yeah.
I do love it. I mean, I'm glad that someone knows who the hell I am, that knows who Cannibal Corpse is, and I'll sit there and take pictures all night long. But there are some times where I've had to say, watch the band.
Watch the band.
Just hold on. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where I'm like, I really want to see this song. You got to give me a second. And of course, everyone's usually cool. And it all works out. Next thing you know, I have 8 beers behind me and 3 shots, and I didn't pay for one of them. And I'm just like, dude, I can't drink all this in one night, man, which I try to. And then, of course, I get on Rob Flynn's bus and scream and yell in there. And it's a great time, but it's like, that's one part about, like, going to shows. But it doesn't stop me. I don't care. I don't care if I go to a show and then the whole time I'm signing shit and taking pictures. I'll do it. It's what I love to do. I mean, it really is. I'm just, like I said, I'm there's some shows I went to where I know, like, no one's gonna know who I am here. Nobody.
Yeah.
And people are like, hey, man. And I'm like, how? You know, how? You know, how can you know who I am? You know, like usually, like you know, like. And I think this is a testament to metal fans and how metal has just crossed over in so many different ways, from death metal to heavy metal, thrash metal, you know, even hardcore and punk rock. I went and saw Bad Religion with this band Off With Their Heads, and Bad Religion's awesome, but I was there to see Off With Their Heads. Fuck, and, you know, luckily Brian, you know, is a friend of mine now, but I didn't know him, you know, except for that he was off. I never met him before this, and some shit happened and they didn't get to play that much. But I was like, oh, no one's gonna know me here. It's, you know, it's a punk show. Hell no.
Right.
All these people are like, dude, you know, holy crap. And it just goes to show that how this music has all come together, you know, extreme music or underground or metal in general, whatever you want to lump it in as. I get recognized. Like I said, though, I don't mind. I mean, it happened more when Bad Religion was playing. Because I tried to hide the corner because I just want to see Off Their Heads. You know, that was I went and saw them. I went and visited a friend in Canada. This is years ago, and they were playing. Actually, Mayhem Fest was there, and I went and saw Machine Head. You know, because you know Rob Flynn's a great friend of mine. So, and then the next night we stayed. It was in Seattle. We stayed because Off Their Heads was playing this place called El Corazon that Cannibals played so many times, and I was like, I'm not leaving until I see them. And then I met them. And they do this after show shot, and they let me be part of it. And they even shouted me out on stage. And I was like, because my friend told the merch person,
Oh, okay.
you know, like, hey, there's a serial cannibal. Because I was going to buy a shirt, so I went to buy the shirt, and she said, oh, I can't sell you that. They'll fire me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, it's your Cannibal Corpse, man. Here, take, you know. And I'm like, what? Which I didn't want. I wanted to pay for it. And she's like, no. You know, and then I got to meet Ryan and those guys, and it was great and whatnot. But you know, I was getting, you know, when he said that, all these heads turned, and it was like, how do you people even care? You know, because you just don't think about it. You know, I went and saw Hank 3, and I just, you know, I ended up talking to him, and he's like, hey man, you're the singer of Cannibal. Because I just went up to him and I didn't say, hey, I'm George from Cannibal Corpse. I don't ever introduce myself. Who the fuck is that?
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah.
Just a douchebag in a band. So, and he looked at me, and I was talking to him, and I was drunk as shit too. And I was punishing him way worse than I did Tom Mariah. And so he's like looking at me weird, and he was like, hey, you see your cat? I was like, dude, how do you know me, man? You know? And he said, come on, man. You know, because he's into punk and metal and stuff. And I should have known better. But you know, he's known for country, you know what I mean? So, and
it's a testament to how humble you are, though, man. Like the type of person that you are. That, you know, you're not that douchebag that's going up to people. What's up? I'm George from Cannibal. It's like, no,
I could never do that, man. I mean, there's, you know, I mean, there's just, no, I would be like, yeah. I mean, I had that happen to me. I'm not going to say who it was. They're not even with us anymore. But that happened to me, and they weren't being like a jerk. Then it was all cool and talking and like, wow, you know. But the initial, you know, and I was a monstrosity when this happened. And you know, hi, I'm such and such, and you know, that sings for this and formerly singing for this band. And I was just like, oh, I know. And I was just like,
yeah,
okay, dude, I know. But you know, again, that was that. I had my opinion about it, but I didn't share it. I just, you know, I let it go. And we talked, and he was really cool. You know, this was years ago. It was a more old school person, you know, who just, maybe that was just the way it was. To me, yeah, I mean, like I will say, if people go, hey man, I'm Joe, if we're on a tour with some bands, and I know who they are, they say I'm Joe, I say I'm George, they go, I know. And I'm like, well, it's just courtesy, just how I was raised. You know, I would just say, hi, my name is George. I wouldn't say, hi, I'm George Corpsegrinder Fisher from Corpsegrinder and Monstrosity, Serpentine Dominion, Voodoo Gods, Cannibal Corpse. You might have heard of us. You know, I wouldn't go. You know, pull
out a scroll. Like
I just say George for people, because there's lots of fans that say, "Hi, my name's Joe." And I'm like, "All right, cool. We take a picture." I'm like, "Well, I'm George," and they're like, "Well, I know," and I know that they know. It's just force of habit.
Courtesy. It's courtesy.
Force of habit.
Yeah. You know, speaking of that, you mentioned Adam. That he's a really good friend of mine as well. That's actually how I met you the first time. I went with him to see you guys, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to go hang out, George?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And we ended up in the bus and drinking and talking and sharing stories and stuff. I was just kind of like a fly on the wall while you two were hanging out. But Adam,
I cut off for a second.
Oh, Adam D. He's a D.
Yeah,
we're
right,
good
yeah.
friends, and we hung out in the bus, and I just kind of sat there while you guys shared stories and stuff.
You know, I swear to you, listen, I'm an asshole. I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. Because I remember we talked about this.
Yeah.
It's just been so damn long.
Yeah, no, but Adam's the same way, dude. The same. Every time I go to a show with him, it's like let's go to the crowd, like because
Yeah.
I don't want to do the side stage thing. I'm like, oh yeah, and it's I end up trying like I don't want to be like Punisher Patrol, but I end up kind of trying to do that for him because he's trying to enjoy
Yeah.
the show, and you got kids. I could see them just standing there like, and I'm like, hey. Let him enjoy the show. As soon as the song's done, you can get a picture, okay? And
It happened on the Slayer tour a lot.
Yeah.
It happened on the Slayer tour a lot. We would go to the soundboard and we'd sit around, you know, inside the guardrail, you know, and there would be tons of people tapping me. And eventually, you know, our sound guy, tour manager, Johnny Knobs, would be like, "You just gotta wait a second, you know." Especially with the song and of course I'm on tour with them and I could see them every night, but the Slayer tour is like 18 shows.
Yeah.
And it's their final run, you know, and we're on it. And I'm watching it every night. I mean, I wouldn't be here without them, you know. I have a jacket that has the Slayer logo painted on it, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, listen, you know, it was a big deal. So, but of course, after the show, you know, we would, you know, and trust me, there are times we have rushed out and tried to keep it undercover just to get back to the bus to party more, you know, or if we had a bus call, and just try to get back as fast as you can, because sometimes, I mean, dude, their Slayer shows huge, thousands of people. And if you get caught, man, it's an hour long, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, there's sometimes where, and I've even said it, like, all right, everybody, listen, if you guys want me, I will stay here the whole time. Somebody has to buy me a beer because I'm gonna get thirsty. And next thing you know, 5 people hear that, and I just one, but it doesn't matter. 5 people come back, you know, I got beers, and well, then I'm just like, shit, I'll stay here all night. Oh, I mean, you know, but I will always do what I can, you know what I mean, for the fans. You know, there's been some times I've had people say, well, you know, last time you guys were here, you were walking to the bus and I was yelling for you and you didn't hear me. I'm like, well, first off, my ears are ringing. We just played the show. And the bus, that generator from that bus is so fucking loud. There's times where I've shut the bus door and Rob is behind me, only, you know, 20 feet, and I couldn't even hear him telling me, hey, you know, keep the door shut.
Yeah.
So if someone's coming up to me and going, George, in this manner, and there's bus next to my ear, I don't hear.
Yeah.
You know,
And fans are usually nervous too when they're doing that approach. It's always like, hey.
I fully understand it. There's so many. There's a scenario for every. You know, there's a million different scenarios for how it could happen. I just missed you. I caught some people tap me while I'm actually foot in the bus. And if there's only one person, I'll just sign it real quick. But if it's really cold out and there's a bunch of people, I'll come back. If I say I'm going to come back, I do all the time. I probably have not a couple of times, and trust me, after we pulled away, I'm like, fuck, I was supposed to go back out there, and I didn't. Because you just get so much shit going on. And, you know, depending on where we're at, it's a certain time here at home, and I want to make sure I talk to the wife at least once a day, you know. And so sometimes I get on and I'm talking to her. Sometimes I got friends in the bus waiting for us. You know, you can't get everybody, you know, but I try. I've failed in that. I've definitely failed in it, you know, the last, you know, at least a couple of tours home right before Black where I didn't go out. And trust me, in hindsight now, again, I did my job. I sang on stage, I banged my head. That's all I'm really paid to do. But come on, I mean, we wouldn't be here without the fans. And why would I not want to meet people? If I was at a show and I was meeting people, it's no different. They're metalheads. They like music like I do, you know? And so I definitely, with all this pandemic and shit, I definitely will make a concentrated effort to be available as much as possible. I mean, really, you know, in whatever capacity we can when this hopefully all gets back to normal.
Yeah, man. I think we're getting close to it. I think once everybody's got a vaccine in them and stuff, or those that don't want to take it, that's fine. But I think, you know, once once its process is done, I think we can start reopening and having shows. So I was having like a time a couple months ago. I was like, we're fucked. This is it. Like, I'm not gonna have any more. Like, I'm never going to a show again. But like now, I'm kind of seeing the light of like, all right, I think we could do it at some point. And seeing some of the shows that are not music shows, but like comedy shows that are happening in like Texas and like Arizona and stuff. I'm like, all right, we're getting closer. I think. I don't think
I hope so.
I don't know if we'll ever get to the crazy crowd surfing. You know, everybody spitting on each other.
I think we
soon.
will. I'm serious, man. I just think that people are just going to throw caution to the wind and say, "Fuck it." You know, I mean, really, I cannot see, like, say for example, us, if we rip it in the hammer smash face, that people are going to just be like, just stand there and headbang like zombies. They're not going to do it. There's no way. People are going to start slamming. They're not going to care. I just think I just think that we got to get back to the way it was. And who knows if it's ever going to be that way. I think maybe people are going to be more cautious about washing their hands and coughing, you know what I mean? Like, we're just, you know, like, trust me, that's a pet peeve of mine. Even before this ever happened, when people are just sitting in their bus, I'm like, dude, I don't want your shit. Oh, well, you can't get it from that. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. When you cough, you spit. You don't even see it. Go look online. They'll show you. There's experiments. There's, you know, science. When you cough, you don't even know it. I probably spit on my screen about 5,000 times when I'm talking to you, and I didn't even know it. Yeah. So, you know, I don't like that anyway. So, and I'm not like some germaphobe or nothing, but I mean, you know, I just, man.
It's just common decency and hygiene, you know, a little bit.
I just hope I just really wanted to get back to normal.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so.
I'm sure I've been singing and I spit by accident into the mic and it went over it and maybe hit some kid in the head. And, you know, I mean, I can imagine that people will be thinking about that now. Like, how are we going to do this when we come back? Are we, you know, if everything is back to normal and it's guaranteed that it's normal, how do we know? Because again, anybody can get the flu. I'm not saying this is just a flu, but I mean, you know, it's along those lines. I mean, we were on tour. I got a viral infection in one of our tours. I missed a show because of it. I couldn't sing. They played an instrumental. They had some kids come up. Maurizio we were on tour with Cataclysm. He was in the U.S. He came up and did Stripped, I think, you know, Stripped and Strangled. Maurizio came up and sang it. They had some kids on the stage, and they come up and gave it their best shot. That's all I'll say about that. I'm trying to be nice. But, you know, the doctors told me, you could have just shook somebody's hand and they just coughed in their hand. And, you know, there's, you know, or there's this or that. You could have been talking to somebody and, you know, it could have happened. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, look, this is dangerous if people are dying, but I mean, we're always going to probably deal with maybe nothing on this level, but there's always going to be germs and people getting sick. Someone could just have a common cold and you get it. And it sucks. It sucks just to get a cold on tour.
Especially as a singer or a vocalist.
Everybody gets sick on tour. It happens all the time because you're talking to so many people. You can be the healthiest person in the world. Sometimes they get it more. You know, I'm drinking all night long. You know, screwing around. I use some hand sanitizer here and there. I'm never sick, and some people are getting sick, and they're like putting hand sanitizer on, totally, you know, not drinking, not abusing themselves, and dumb George just walking around like you don't care, and I don't get sick. I mean. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not anybody in the know, but I just hope that it can come back to normal. I mean, I think mentally we're never going to be normal again.
No,
everybody's going to have it. Everybody's going to be thinking about it in some way or another.
Well, that's good. I mean, like I said, maybe it helps people have a little more common decency with their hygiene and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, because especially for vocalists, it's such a when you get a cold as a vocalist, it's the equivalent of a guitar player breaking his hand. Like you can't use your instrument.
Well, if you get a fever, if you get the sniffles, fine. You get the cough, you're fucked. I mean, you are done. If you get the tour, sometimes they call it just a tour hack. You know, if you get the tour hack from the bus or the bus lung, as they say, that's one thing. But if you are coughing because you have that itch in your throat from being sick, it is one of the worst things to get. It's for me not so bad if it's only a few shows left because I can just wing it. If you're a singer where your voice is clean and you're singing clean, you know, it's harder. It's easier to disguise it when it comes to singing death metal. I know it though, and that is the hardest thing to sell to people. If you know you're not on your A game, like we were talking about before, if you know you're not on your A game, if your head's not in the game, it's harder to sell that. it can be done, but it's harder. It makes the job harder if you're trying to just push past your voice just being screwed. You're hacking, coughing all day long. Your voice does not be able to rest. You get off stage, you're coughing all night. You get up, you wake up in the morning, you're coughing all day. Then you got to sing, even if it's for an hour, hour and a half. It's still, you're just blasting your vocal cords all day long, just hacking all day long. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that we're on the topic of the virus and everything, you're known avid fan of Target and going to stores to see what they got, and has that, have you noticed a change? The stores are open, so you can go to them, but I've noticed, for me personally, like going to a store now, there's like this sense of like apprehension. Everybody's kind of like on the defensive, like get away from me. Like, have you noticed anything like that while you're out? I mean, have you made trips to Target during this pandemic?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Not as much as I used to, but it's just different reasons. I mean, new expansion for Warcraft's out, so that's came out last November, so that does get in the way of things. But no, I mean, I've seen some people. We're here in Florida. I've seen people walk around with no mask at all, and I'm not going to go up and yell at them. You do what you want. I'm wearing a mask. I'm doing my part. I don't always stay 6 feet away from people. I'll walk right past people. I mean, for whatever reason, no one's freaked out on me because I'd be like, go away. I just, somebody's trying to give me a hard time for something. I'd be like, dude, just go bother somebody who cares about your shit, because I'm not going to be, the police about things, but at the same time, if people want to be that way, that's fine. And I probably haven't. I just haven't noticed. I'm just, me and the wife go, I'm in my own world. I'm looking at clearance. I'm not paying attention to who's around me. If somebody came up and touched me or something or put their hand on me, more than likely it's going to be somebody that knows me. And I'm going to be like, oh yeah, what's up? And to me, I'm not going to live my life paranoid. I wear the mask. I do the things to be courteous to everyone else. And, also protecting myself. Wife does the same thing. My one daughter is here doing homeschooling. My other daughter physically attends. She wears her mask, does all the things she has. She has her hand sanitizer, all that stuff. And it's all you can do. I don't know if I've really noticed anybody being really crazy. No one's been crazy, or I haven't seen anybody lecturing anybody. Because I've seen some videos, some people like getting up with people. First off, you're yelling at someone about not wearing a mask or not being 6 feet away, and you're not 6 feet away.
Yeah.
If I saw that, I'm telling you right now, there would be, back away from this person now. Get out of here. Seriously, go away, because you don't need to be in here. I'd probably get in trouble for that. The person being the jerk, no, but I would probably get in trouble for that. But I haven't seen it, luckily. Maybe there's been some people, I think, there's some more elderly people that are probably trying to stay away, and I try to stay away from that. I don't want people being afraid. Like, it's weird. I've said this in another interview. I went to Target. We walked out. There was an older lady in front of me, and there was some money on the ground. I was like, oh man, and then when I realized it was $7, I was like, like, how can you feel like shit that you found $7? It's $7. It's, better than nothing. But anyway, I immediately thought she must have dropped it because she was the only person in front of me. No one else was around. So I went up to her, and I still was far. I stayed away from her because I was, excuse me. And she turned around. She looked like she saw Satan. Like she was like, and I was like, oh, sorry, I just wanted to know, did you drop some money? Because I just found some money tonight. And she's like, she looked at her boss. She's like, oh no, I didn't. But what a nice man. And I was like, oh, thank you. But and she was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, okay, you're the only person in front of me. I didn't mean to startle you. And that was it. So I don't know. I don't know if I've seen people being overly cautious or afraid or whatnot. I think people feel comfortable. They got the mask on, and I think most people feel it's enough. Some people do, like I go walking up and down, like if I take a walk in my neighborhood, there are people who cross the street or whatever, or go into the bike lane, walking, jogging, whatever, to kind of keep some distance. But that's all good,
Yeah. But yeah, that was a nice thing you did, man. And that's one of the things that, my wife, she's not a big metal fan. Like she'll listen to some stuff, but she's not like, she wouldn't be able to handle Cannibal Corpse. But when I showed her the picture of you with the plush toys and everything, now you have a special place in her heart. Now she's like, I like him. He's good. And also the fact that you're a gamer, that you play World of Warcraft. You mentioned the new expansions out. Like, I was going to ask you if you're still playing after, how long has it been now? 18, 20 years that World of Warcraft is out?
2004, 16, 17 years.
Man,
Yeah.
I tapped out on World of Warcraft. I think it was 2.5 years in. I played it for 2.5 years, very, strictly.
I've been there the whole time, and I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
No other MMOs draw your attention away?
No, I mean, I used to play some consoles and stuff, and whatnot. I play some tablet games, and Idle Heroes, and few games on a tablet, but mostly it's Warcraft. That's all I got time for. It's too much to do.
Yeah. What is it mostly that draws you in? Like, are you doing PvP stuff? Are you just focusing on the story quests?
Lately, I've just been trying to. Well, yeah, so that a little bit. I haven't done any of the raids. I've done a few dungeons, but mostly doing the Covenant campaigns and going for mounts. I go to do content for mounts and transmog gear. That's a big deal. Toys, the little toys you can get in the game. All the holiday events and stuff like that, But I mean, I'll do dungeons. I'll build my gear up, do daily quests, stuff like that. I haven't really done too much raiding. I have my own guild, and it's just me. There's nobody else. There's other people in it, but they haven't been on in years, and I'm fine with it. I'm on a non-PvP server, which doesn't matter now because they have war mode. But I moved from Burning Blade, where I was at for years, and I had in Cataclysm because I was just tired of getting ganked. I was on a PvP server. It's all I ever knew because my friends were playing, and I joined because of that. And then I was like, I moved, and I've been happy there ever since. And with the way the content is now, if you want to do mythic stuff, you need some friends and whatnot. If you don't care about that, if I have the lowest level epic gear, I'm good. What I mean? If I can go out and kill stuff a little bit more easy than if I just had blues. Let's say if I had purple gear, I'm good.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, there's something about MMOs like that, like World of Warcraft, that really it's a time sink. Like I said, I gave 2.5 years of it, and it's not that I feel bad about it, but it's just kind of like, wow, I can't believe I spent 2.5 years playing one game. And I mean, like right now, I think I'm dabbling in Final Fantasy 14, which is it's the same concept. It's an MMO open world thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy was my life before I got into World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah? Which one is what would you say is your favorite Final Fantasy?
Well, if I didn't say 7, everyone in the world would hate me. But man, I really love 10.
10, wow.
10
okay.
And I love 10 too, the whole get Titus back. I hate to do this, but I'm supposed to be on this other
yeah, no problem, man.
We have to do another one because listen, Final Fantasy and Warcraft will be all day long.
Let's do it, brother. Anytime. Like I said, I could talk to you for hours. So, all right, real quick, social medias, Cannibal Corpse, Corpsegrinder, the new album, Violence Unimagined on Metal Blade. Check it out now. Thank you so much, dude, for your time. We'll hang out and talk again. Wait, real quick. I need your blessing. I want to make my grandmother, it's a Cuban old lady. She's like in her 80s. And I came up with the idea of having her read Cannibal Corpse song titles. And to see her reaction. Is that, you think we could pull that off?
How old is she?
She's 80.
Oh, well, I don't know about that.
And she's Cuban.
If her heart's good, you know what I mean? Then I would say okay. Otherwise,
right,
she may be like, who are these people?
All right, brother. Well, hey, be safe, and we'll talk again soon.
Take care.
All right, man. Later.